All right. Here we go. Okay. Hang on. Okay, mi amor, go.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Comadres. I recognize most of your faces. Hopefully you remember me from my time in New York. In case you don't know me or if you need a little bit of a refresher, I'm just going to give you a little bit of my background so you know who's talking to you today and going to show you how to make these delicious, refreshing drinks. My name is Isela Hernandez, and I'm originally from Texas, which is where I am speaking to you all from today. I'm from the border. I'm from a town called Del Rio, which is about 5 minutes away from Mexico. That's where I was born and raised. My family is from the town right across the Rio Bravo called Ciudad Acuña. But I was born and raised on the American side, and then I went to university in New York, and that's where I lived for 20 years, and where I met you guys and participated in the group. Probably I started to go, I would say, in the early 2010s or so. I was active for a few years, and then about 4 years ago, I decided to move back to Texas. Long story short, my skin just couldn't take the cold anymore. I'm from down here. I grew up in the desert, and my skin is just used to seeing the sun. And I just kind of got tired of spending, several months indoors with the cold and the snow. And although I love New York and I do go back often, my family is all here in Texas, and it just made sense given what I was doing with my business for me to be back here. And so I've been back in Texas, living in San Antonio for 4 years now. Now, what do I do here in Texas? Just really quickly, I own a brand of premium Mexican culinary products, which you'll see in a second when we do the second drink. So it's a combination of Mexican kitchenware and specialty food. We're gonna use one of the chocolates today in the drink, so I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And so that's what I do mainly here in Texas. So aside from being involved in the specialty food world, I'm also I wouldn't say a professional mixologist, but I have a quite extensive background making a lot of drinks for a lot of people. Growing up on the border, going to Mexico was very easy for us back then. This is in the 1980s. We're talking late 80s, early 90s, when I was in my teenage years. For us, it was not unusual back then, around 15, 16, to go to Mexico and have fun with our friends there. And inevitably that meant partaking in little chelitas, which in Mexico, chelitas are cervezas, beers. So drinking beer, drinking a little tequila, drinking some whiskey. So this is something, some people took it a little bit over the top, but for the most part, we kept it very friendly. So, but the reason I bring that up is just to let you know that, drinking is, now I'm going to sound like a big lush, but drinking is something I've been doing since my teenage years. And I've just learned to make a lot of drinks. So I'm happy to be here with you today to share my knowledge of what I know about some of my favorite drinks. So thank you for having me. And Maria, I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and explain how to do that. But if somebody wants to ask a question while I'm making it, how will that work?
Mm-hmm. So I have unmuted everyone. Okay, so everyone is open to ask questions. So they can all jump in.
Okay, great. And how many people do we have? Is it everybody I see here?
We have about 12 people.
Oh, okay. So I can't see everybody. All right. Great. So my, you don't need to answer, but just out of curiosity, not everybody needs to answer, but just out of curiosity, if you guys could just say, so I get an idea, like, what are people's favorite drinks? Alcohol.
Margaritas.
Margarita.
Margaritas, martinis.
Followed by sangria.
Sangria.
I like the margarita.
I know my buddy Pam is saying yes.
Flushes.
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 I'd go with cranberry.
Okay.
Muy bien. Okay, well, I definitely heard margarita in there. So for those of you that like margaritas, then I hope you enjoy this recipe. I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna show you the classic margarita, how to make that. It's fairly simple, but just so you know, one of the things that I always say to people, whether I'm talking about drinks or talking about food and cooking, is so you start up with the recipe, and that gives you the foundation of how to make something. But please feel free to take this information and reinterpret it however it fits best for you. If you open up a bar book, the way I'm about to make the margarita is what you're supposed to do. But honestly, like, I've done different things for myself, for friends, and if you go to different restaurants, they do it differently. So it's really, left up to your own interpretation. So, but what I'm going to show you today is what is officially known as a classical margarita. Okay. So what do we need? You have the ingredients list was sent before before today, so you should have an idea that margaritas are primarily comprised of limes, right? So you should, if you're going to make a margarita for yourself, which is what I'm going to show you to do, one margarita right now, you want at least 2 juicy limes, if not 3, right? You also want tequila, which forms the basis of margarita too. So it's limes and tequila. And with the tequila, let me just make a note here that, and this could be a whole class about tequila, which it's not going to be, but just so you know, there's different kinds of tequila. There's reposado, anejo, and blanco. The blanco obviously is, clear. They also call it tequila silver. Reposado and anejo are a little bit more on the brown side. When you make a margarita, you want to choose preferably a tequila that's a blanco, a silver tequila. The reposado and anejos are usually better in quality, which is good. When you want to enjoy your tequila just to sip it, you want to, maybe try an anejo or a reposado. But if you're going to make a mixed drink, and specifically a margarita, when you use a tequila, you want to use a silver blanco tequila, okay, which has a little bit more of a bite to it, and so it works really well when you're mixing it with, in this particular case, with lime juice, and it's also not as expensive. So you don't want to waste your great quality tequilas on mixing it with lime and some other things, right? This bottle, for instance, it's a salsa tequila. In Texas, how much did I pay for this? I think I paid like $12 for this bottle. You could probably get it in the New York area from, I don't know, anywhere between 15 and 20. Rarely do I personally spend more than $20 on a bottle of tequila that I'm going to use for mixing. Reposado and anejo, a different story, but if you're going to use it to make drinks, I would choose something, not more than $20. All right. So that, you want a tequila. You also want a orange liqueur. In this case, I'm going to use Cointreau, which, if you're not familiar with Cointreau, it's a French orange liqueur. It's made from orange peels and I believe beets as well. Now, in this case, this is not as cheap of a bottle. This is a little bit more on the expensive side. This is the one that I personally like to use. You can find many different kinds of orange liqueurs in the market that are not as pricey. And I would encourage you, if you're just trying this out for the first time, to maybe go that way first until you find one that you like and that the price point works for you. I make tequilas a lot for myself, so I'm okay. Like I will make the investment to buy something like this. But believe me, when I have had parties, I won't use this one. I'll have something that's a little bit on the lower end, and it works just as well. Okay. Okay. So you want tequila, you want some triple sec, which is orange liqueur, you want the limes, and you also want some salt. Now, the salt is not going to be something that goes in tequila. It's going to be something that goes on the rim of the glass that you're going to drink tequila from. Now, this is something else that you may or may not want to use. Again, I'm showing you the classical recipe for how to make a margarita, but some people do not like to drink salt, not like to have the salt flavor when they're drinking a margarita. So it's up to you. All right. One last thing that you may or may not need. Those are the ingredients that you for sure need to make the classical margarita. Did you have a question?
No, I'm good.
We were just saying hi.
We're just saying hi.
Oh, okay, okay.
Miriam.
Yeah, feel free to interrupt. So one last ingredient that you may or may not need. So the ones I just went through are the ones that you for sure want to have when you're making a classical margarita. What you may or may not need, depending on your taste, is simple syrup. And what is simple syrup? Excuse me. Simple syrup, it's just a sweetener. It's just sugar with water, literally. You can buy it at your liquor store, or you can very easily make it yourself at home. And what you do is you combine literally 1 cup of sugar, you put it in your pot with 1 cup of water, so equal parts water, equal parts sugar, over medium heat, you stir, and you just let it sit there maybe a couple minutes. You're gonna see that it starts off kind of cloudy looking, opaque, but once the sugar starts to melt, because that's ultimately what's gonna happen over the medium heat, is that it's just gonna look like water. It's just gonna look like water again. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's just gonna look clear like water. And so I like to, if you have I don't know if you guys keep your jars, cute jars that you wanna throw away, you can recycle them and, put your simple syrup in there, or you can store it in sometimes I just get a glass and put, some aluminum foil and stick it in my refrigerator like that. Or if I have an extra little, Tupperware thingy, and you can store it in your refrigerator for up to a month. After that, it starts to kind of get but you can use it in 1 drink, 2 drinks. If you have some left over, you can put it back in your fridge and use it for another drink the next day, or up till a month or so. All right, so that so you may or may not want to use that, and I'll explain in a second why that's the case. If you don't have the simple syrup, you can also use orange juice as well. Okay, so how do we make it? So we start off with the limes, cut them. Now the first one I'm going to make is, it's on the rocks, right? And I'm sure everybody knows what this means, but just to be clear, on the rocks means that we're gonna be serving the drink over ice. So this is not gonna be a frozen margarita. I can show you how to make that too. It's essentially the same thing, except instead of using a shaker, we use a blender. But in this case, I'm gonna do it over ice, right? Because that's the traditional form was made was not made frozen. The frozen version came later on. So, okay, so we get your shaker. Now we've cut the limes, right? You want them cut in half like that. You get your shaker, put some ice. And I usually, if I'm gonna make it for myself, I'll usually put in I don't know, there's no exact science to this. Maybe half the glass, half of the shaker's worth of ice, yeah?
But that means you can't put enough liquor.
Release that. Someone's thinking ahead. Okay. So now we have the ice in here. Then you want to put your lime juice in here. If you don't have a lime squeezer, obviously, you can do it with your hand. I have a lime squeezer, so I'm gonna use that. Here's just squeeze it in here. And just so you know, in terms of picking limes, you want to pick limes in the grocery store. Limes are obviously green, right? But you don't want to pick the ones that are super green, because that means they're not that ripe yet. So you kind of almost want to get them where they're greenish, yellowish. I don't even know if you can see from there, kind of like that. So yes, it's green, but you want a little bit of a tint of yellow. And obviously, when you're at the store, squeeze it so you get a juicy one. All right.
So I have a question. So if you squeeze them and they're hard, that means they're not ripe enough.
That's right. Now you can still use them. You can use them for other recipes, and yeah, you can use them for margarita. But it's you'll probably need to use an extra lime or something.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Now we're gonna put the tequila. Now, you might be wondering, right, the big question, how much tequila do I put in? Well, this is all to your liking. I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways how you can measure it. It's funny that I'm even going to explain to you how I'm going about doing this, because I feel like I've made this so many times in my life that I just go, boop, 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 ya ni me doy cuenta. Like, I don't even know exactly how much I'm putting in. But I'm going to show you so you have some sort of guidance of what to go by. And again, you know, if you're doing this for the first time and you end up having it and you're like, ooh, that's too strong, I'm going to show you a way to balance it out, okay? But in the meantime, just so you have some sort of guidance, if you have a tequila, if you have a shot glass, you can use this as guidance. If you have the shaker, which if you're gonna make like this, you should have the shaker, you can use this little guy as guidance, the top of it. Or if you have a jigger, you can also use the jigger as a guidance too. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna use the top of my shaker as the guidance. And what I mean by guidance is, so I'm gonna put tequila in here. The idea is that whatever I choose to be my shot size, that's gonna be like my shot size, because then whatever I'm gonna put of triple sec is gonna be half of that size. Does that make sense? So if I use this whole thing, the triple sec is gonna be half of this whole thing. If I use this guy, then the triple sec is gonna be half of that, right? That makes sense? You know what, I'm gonna use this one instead, so you guys can see. Stick it in here. So the idea is that it's one portion of, 1 shot of tequila, and then half a shot of triple sec, of the orange liqueur. And you cover it up. Now, before I do the shaking there, I'm just gonna get my glass ready, because I like to pour it in right into the glass when I'm done. Now, how do I get my glass ready? So remember I told you you needed some salt to put on the rim of your glass?
Is this regular salt?
Very good question, because I was just about to say, I forgot to mention, try to use kosher salt.
Yeah, or margarita salt. You can get it too.
Pardon?
Margarita salt.
Too. In the supermarket even. Yep.
Exactly, there's margarita salt, and then there's salts that have flavors. Also, if you were gonna use regular salt, like salt that's not kosher salt, it's not the end of the day. You can use that too. But what we like about using the kosher side is that it has the kosher salt is that it has substance. Ay, mira esta mujer, I haven't seen her forever.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry, so you want the, right on? So the kosher salt you want to use because it has a little bit of substance, and it will get onto your glass easier. Okay, so you want to put the salt on a little plate like that, and then you want to wet a napkin, like totally wet a napkin, and put it on a plate. And then the glass that you're going to pour the margarita in, wet it. Wet the rim like this, right? Can everybody see what I'm doing?
Right.
Wet the rim. Aye.
Well, you did it with the lemon.
And then you go like that on the salt. And that will stick to your glass. You see?
Yep. Right.
Everybody sees? Okay.
What about if you do it with the lemon? You know how you rub the lemon around?
Yeah, you could do it with the lemon too. You could do it with the lemon. Yep. Okay, so you got your glass ready. And now, what do we do?
No sugar?
Quick question. I have seen that sometimes the salt has colors. Like I have seen being served with different colors, or, you know, I don't know. How do you do that?
Yeah, so there's different, that's what I was saying before, there's different kinds of salts that you can use now. You know, there's pink salt, they're making all kinds of salts now, flavored salts, they're making salts with chile. You can use whatever you want, but what I'm showing you here is the traditional form of the margarita, which is with just regular kosher salt.
If you were going to make a flavored margarita, do you still use the Cointreau?
That's a really good question. It depends on which flavor you're making. If it's anything citrusy, I would recommend it. I don't think I use it in the mango. I make mango margaritas. Okay. I don't use it on that. It just depends. And it's also whatever you want, you know, for your palate too, what feels right for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Did you use 2 or 3 limes?
I used 2 limes, and then I already had one. I already had one cut, so I just threw it in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's also the limey flavor that you like, you know, right? So you go based on your taste. If you
Yeah.
like it more, a little bit more limey, and you use
Exactly.
more lime. If you like it a little less, then you stick to the sweet.
Yeah, and that's what I say. Like, so what I'm sure, like, if you were to open up a bar book right now, like how to make a margarita, this is like the recipe, right? It's like lime juice, triple sec, and tequila, the salt, and what I'm about to do. But of course, like you can take that and then add it and change things to your liking for sure. Okay, so then what you do is you shake. I've used this shaker so much that I've loosened the top. No. You want to shake it really well. Get it all combined. And then voila, you have your margarita. Now you can obviously use a lime to decorate it. You can either put it inside the drink, or if you're having a party and you want to serve them, so they look pretty, you can put a lime like that, or you can put the lime inside, or you can put a little umbrella on it. Let me see. Oh my God, it's just so good.
I want you to drink along, so I'll sip with you.
Salud.
I'm jealous.
Now, I heard somebody ask a very good question, which is the reason why I asked you guys to possibly introduce this. So again, what I just showed you is what like a traditional classic margarita is supposed to be like, right? It's lime juice with salt and triple sec. And the idea is that, not to spend too much time again talking about tequila, but way back then, this is around the early, when the margarita was supposed to have been invented around like the 1930s, 1940s-ish. By the 1950s, it was around. So previous to that, tequila was not really a kind of alcohol that was appreciated, right? It had a flavor that was bitter for a lot of people. And so for people to drink it, to make it more palatable for themselves, they would add, that's where the whole idea of like you have sal and limon shot, that's what they would do, right? And so the margarita is kind of a more refreshing way of having that concoction. So that's where that comes from. Now, if you were to have it, you might say, this is it's too tangy for me, or it's not sweet enough, because really the only sweetness that it has is the minimal sweetness that's coming from the triple sec. So the other option, if you wanted to mix it in with the other ingredients, is to add some simple syrup. The simple syrup will make it sweeter. And this is what you'll find in a lot of like restaurants that you go to when the margaritas are served to you and it's a little bit on the sweeter side. They usually either have simple syrup in them, or they'll have some orange juice, whether it's processed orange juice or whether it's orange juice from the orange. I've done that before when I've had girlfriends over who don't necessarily like the margarita the way I just made it without any sweetness to it. I've used fresh oranges and will squeeze orange juice into the mix before I serve them. So yeah, so there's definitely that way of making it a lot sweeter like that. If you were gonna make it if you wanted a frozen margarita, obviously you would put all the things that we just talked about, put it in your blender with a little bit more ice, and then just, yeah, you put it on the smoothie or the frozen drink level, and voila, frozen margarita.
Would you do like one shot glass of tequila and one shot glass of the triple sec? Would that do the same sweetness?
So officially, the recipe calls for half of this to one full of this. Now, you can play with it. If you prefer for it to be even, Steven, you can do that. But officially, it's supposed to be one tequila part to half of this to one tequila part.
Okay. Okay.
And the triple sec might make it taste funny because of the flavor that it's giving it. So if you're trying to make it a little bit stronger or a little bit sweeter, there's also sweet sugar that you can, the different colors, like I think Nidia was asking about the different color salt. They do have like a sweet salt thingy that you can use, that you can dip your glass into.
Yeah.
And so you'll have the different colors and it'll give you that sweetness because it's a mix of sugar and salt.
Yeah.
And so then you're getting that taste.
If you don't have, if you haven't made any simple syrup, you don't have sugar around to make some. If you don't have orange juice, you can also use agave syrup as well. You can use, you know, if you're gonna make a flavored margarita, you can, you know, what I use, I don't know if you guys have seen, Goya makes these like mango juices. You know, they come in. Oh my God, I love those. I use those to make mango margaritas. They also have some juices that are made, ¿cómo se llama? Not guava. You can make guava margarita too, but the one that I really like a lot too.
Passion fruit. Passion fruit.
Passion fruit.
Yeah.
¿Cómo se llama? Oh my God, I know the name. It's like it's a brown, the brown.
Tamarindo.
Tamarindo. Oh, forget about it. I love tamarindo margaritas. Make tamarindo margaritas.
Oh.
Yeah, you can really have a lot of fun with it. But obviously the idea being that, you know, that tequila is in the drink. If you start using rum or something else, well, ya no es margarita. Es otra cosa.
Yeah, that's something else.
Then it's a daiquiri or, yeah.
And I have to say the one thing, like Lee, you were asking about making it a little sweeter. The orange juice will also make it sweeter. And it'll make it taste sweeter. Cause I tend to do like, when I make my and I only like frozen. So when I make mine, it's more of like a version of a tequila sunrise with a margarita and mix it all together. And then, you know, and so it's fruity, but it's just so damn good. And it's frozen and you just keep drinking it. And then you make the excuse that you're getting all your vegetables and not your vegetables, but your fruits in for the day, you know?
Smarty
I like
pants.
that excuse.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask.
All my fruits. They just happen to be drowning in tequila, but.
Jackie, you had a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know, have you ever been to a tequila tasting?
I have.
Yeah.
No.
I just wanted to know, like, because I would love to do something like that. Like, what would you suggest in terms of making sure, you know, you don't come out of there like, you know, you don't come out that you end up on the floor actually at the end of it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So depending on the tequila tasting you go to, there's tequila tastings that are just tequila, right? That it's just tequila and that's what they serve you. And my suggestion for that would be obviously don't go on an empty stomach. You know, which generally that's just rule number one for drinking. You know, that's something I learned when I was talking about earlier about being a teenager going to Mexico to hang out. We learned from a very early age that do not drink on an empty stomach, right? So, so you want to eat something, preferably something substantial, something, you know, pasta with bread. If you just have a salad, that's not good enough. The alcohol will go through that, but something is better than nothing. So if you're going to go to a tequila tasting that does not offer food pairings with the tequila, then I would suggest to go, you know, have something to eat beforehand, not necessarily full stomach, but have something to eat for sure. But there are tequila tastings now, and I'm sure you can find them in New York especially, where they're pairing tequilas with food. So like, in fact, what's this gentleman's name? I don't think he has a restaurant in New York, but he has restaurants for sure. He's a Chicago chef, well known. Rick Bayless. I don't know if you guys have heard of Rick Bayless. He's not Mexican, but he's a chef of Mexican food. He's pretty well known. He comes out on PBS. He has a bunch of restaurants. If you go to Chicago, you'll see Frontera Grill, and he's got a lot of restaurants. But anyway, he has one restaurant. It's actually a very high-end Mexican restaurant, and you'll go, and it's you know, it's like, I don't remember, 4 courses or something. I mean, it's really kind of fancy. And each course comes paired with a tequila. So yeah, and that's really interesting. But they also so you'll get that, like, you know, at his restaurant, but you'll also find, I think maybe, I don't know if he's the one that started that trend, but subsequent to that restaurant, I've been to tastings where they show you how to pair certain tequilas with some foods. And that could be a lot of fun too.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the chocolate martini.
Oh,
All right.
Yes, we
Not
have
that
to do that
somebody
one.
wants chocolate, right?
Just,
He's already been talking about this since 2
Just
o'clock.
here.
so I made a simple chocolate martini, just using the vanilla vodka and the Godiva liqueur. Most chocolate martinis, it depends on where you go. Some of them will make it with the cream of cocoa or with half and half. So there's cream in it.
Yeah.
You know, she's making it
But
with
yours doesn't have cream though, because it's so dark, right?
no cream. It's see-through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they also have, I found, they have a chocolate vodka, which is delicious.
Wow.
It's really good.
Yeah. So Edgar had brought me back the 3 bottles of Godiva liqueur. One was the cappuccino, one is the chocolate, and one was, I think, a vanilla Godiva. I don't remember, but I finished that bottle a long time ago. But I just made a simple one because I didn't want the cream in it today.
And do you make it in a shaker?
Yeah.
Okay. With ice and everything?
Yep.
Or you
You
just
mix
put
it
it
up.
out of the bottle?
So look at mine. Mine is just the Patron with vodka.
Woo, baby.
Oh, I got to show you my shirt.
Patron chocolate.
Wow.
You see my shirt?
I haven't gone that way, but.
Oh, man.
Wait, what shirt? What shirt? Miriam.
Really cool t-shirt.
I love this
Take a picture. Let me take a picture. Put it back, Miriam.
Do it again?
What's it think of?
Yes. Show your
Oh,
boobs, baby.
under your quarantine. That's cute.
Oh, you're
I can't
the
take
cook.
credit. My cousin bought it for me as a gift. She says, this is a perfect shirt for you. And she brought it to me this week. And I was like, I'm wearing it.
She knows
Friday.
you. She knows you.
Wow.
It was so cute. I said, I have to wear it today.
Of course.
With my comadres, you know.
Yes, very nice. Yes. So I have my, oh, wait, we're ready?
Take it
Okay,
off
you guys
because I'm
ready?
in charge now for days.
Dale, Isela.
Okay, so before I jump into the recipe, I just want to just really quickly, I'm not trying to be a commercial or anything, but just so you know that what I'm using. So as I said before, right, and I think most of you guys know, I am the owner of a brand of Mexican culinary products, one of which is Mexican hot chocolate, right? It's called Hernandez, and we make them in these tablillas that look like this. It's a hard chocolate. This is organic cacao with cinnamon and sugar, and that's made in Chiapas. And then we also make some chocolates that come in these Mexican baskets.
We ate those a lot, Maria.
Yes, we did. I still have my
so good.
Do you have a website?
So cool.
So yeah, so that's what I'm using to make this drink, but you can use any chocolate you want. The idea is to hopefully that you're using chocolate. So, okay, so what do? I
Is there
prepared,
soy in your chocolate?
excuse me?
Is there soy in your chocolate?
There is less than 0.5% of soy lecithin.
Okay.
That's the emulsifier.
Yeah, I'm allergic to soy, so
Oh,
that cuts me out.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have to find pure. Usually it's cocoa that's like 70, 80 proof. That doesn't have any soy in as an emulsifier.
Yeah. Ours. Well, we use ours because it's a very simple chocolate. It's just organic cacao with cinnamon, and that's just that's what our artisans have been using forever, and so that's what we use. But I totally understand that. Which brand do you usually use?
I found one from Toll House, the 80 proof that has no soy lecithin or anything in it.
Oh, okay.
It's just pure.
Okay, great. Yeah. So what I did was I made what's fun about this recipe is, I don't know if any of you guys have any children. I saw someone, with a kid running in the background. But yeah, you can do this at any time of the year. Hot chocolate, whether it's Mexican hot chocolate or Venezuelan hot chocolate or what have you. Really, I'm trying to make it something where it's like, it's kind of like coffee. Like, even though it's a warm drink, it doesn't have to be just a fall and winter type thing. You can drink it in the springtime, you can drink it in the summertime, and you can drink it hot or you can drink it cold. And so one of the ways we try to promote our product as a cold beverage is by making drinks like this. So what's fun about it too is if you have children, you know, kids always get excited about chocolate, right? And hot chocolate. So you can make it for them, and then you can save some for yourself to make this drink later. Or if you make it for them and they have some left over, they don't drink all of it, because you know how kids sometimes don't finish their drinks. Just, you know, put it in the cup and store it in the refrigerator, and then just know that you can have it later for yourself, with or without, you know, anything added to it. But cold chocolate is really good. So this is a drink that I made with we're gonna make with my hot chocolate. I made it hot first, and I put it in the refrigerator overnight in here. You take it out, right? You have it a little cool, and you want it cool. You don't want to use it when it's to make this drink. You don't want to use it when it's still warm, because if you use it still warm, even lukewarm, when you mix it with the ice, it's gonna melt the ice, and it's gonna the ice is going to it's gonna melt, and it's going to affect the taste of your drink. So, okay, so you need chocolate, you need a cold chocolate, and then you need, for this recipe anyway, we're gonna use what Maria was showing off before, Patron Exo Cafe, which is a coffee tequila. So it's a combination of silver tequila with coffee liqueur. And if you really wanna have, where did I put it? I had it yesterday when I was doing all this. Well, if you really want to have some extra fun, you can also add a little bit of vodka to this drink as well. But for now, we're just going to do it with Patron Exo Tequila. Okay, so what do we do? You get your shaker. We're going to do this. We're going to do it, you know, what's the expression? Shaking out. Stir this, or you can shake it. I'm going to show you how to do it with a shaker. Okay, but know that you can also stir this as well. And you can also make a frozen version of this also. So I'm gonna do it in the shaker, some ice. And I'll do the same thing, like half of the shaker of ice. Then on the tequila, the coffee tequila, I put about a shot's worth. And then I put my chocolate.
And is that chocolate without milk, or is that pure chocolate?
No, I made the hot chocolate first. So it's with milk. Yeah. And you can use, okay, let's just stop right there, because that's a really good question too. So in case anybody's lactose intolerant, you can also prepare, and I think that's the case with most chocolates. I can definitely speak for ours and say that for sure. You can prepare it with oat milk. You can prepare it with soy milk, with almond milk, with coconut almond milk. I don't know, I'm sure they have it in New York. They have it down here, but there's a coconut almond milk combination that works really, really well with our chocolate. When we do events for vegans, they love it. It's delicious. So, so yeah, you don't have to use whole milk. I actually, what did I use? 1% milk, I think. You can use some other dairy substitute to prepare it. So yeah, but you want to prepare it first. And then.
How much hot chocolate?
Excuse me?
How much hot chocolate?
Yeah, so again, this is all to your liking. I'm going to put, this is a cup's worth. Well, I'm just gonna make it for myself. If I was gonna make two, I would put the whole cup's worth. Since I'm just gonna make it for myself, I'm gonna put half a cup. It's pretty easy. There you go. Now, again, if you wanted to make it extra specially boozy, you can add like a quarter of a shot to half a shot of vodka also. Ooh, it's cold. All right. Now, I'm not going to do this right now, but you can also do a variation of this with your chocolate. Again, depending on what chocolate you're using, if you're using a powdered chocolate, you don't need to grate it. But if you were using like a hard solid chocolate, you get a cheese grater, you grate it, and then you could do the same thing that we did with the margarita. You know, you put the glass on some liquid on a wet towel, and then you can also cover the rim with some grated chocolate. You can do that. We're gonna do that though at the top of the drink. Okay, so let's shake again. That. So, you know, depending on if you have guests over, right? Maybe you want to wow them with the presentation. So you just want to go like that. And voila, there's your chocolate martini. I don't know if you can see the top of it. Yep.
Oh, very nice.
Looks good.
And I noticed it's a much bigger glass.
That's
It's
optimal.
a much bigger glass than the tequila, than the margarita.
I wish you could taste it. It's really good, ladies. Oh my God. I didn't finish my my margarita, but I'm going to. So does anybody have any questions on this?
Question. I've had chocolate martinis where they also swirl liquid chocolate in the glass.
I do that.
Were they what?
They swirl liquid chocolate in the glass.
Okay.
Would that be something you could also add to your mixture?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. This is just, you know, like what I said before when I started, it's kind of like cooking. You know, you kind of start with like a base, a foundation, and then you can play around with it. You know, if you wanted to top it off with a liquid chocolate or add a bit of chocolate in there. If you wanted to put some whipped cream even, you know, there's so many things you could do with it. Totally.
Yeah.
Would Nutella be too thick to add to it?
You know what? I haven't tried it. I don't know. I mean, try it. Are you talking about as a topping or like on the rim of the glass?
I don't know. I was just wondering because I really like the taste of Nutella, and I was wondering, you know.
If I was going to use Nutella, what I would probably use it for is like this. Like I would put some on a small plate, and then I would put my glass on it, and then so that the rim of the glass has the Nutella. So when I'm drinking my drink, I'm kind of drinking it and also having some of the Nutella. I think that's how I would do it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
But then you can also put it into the blender to make a frozen one and then add like a spoonful or two of the Nutella.
Yeah.
And in the
Yeah.
blender, obviously, you know, you can add more ice and make it in a consistency that's more like a, you know, a frozen drink. You can also add, oh, it escapes me. I just had it. Oh, if you want to do it with ice cream, I think Maria, you were saying you've done the this guy over ice cream, but you can also add ice cream to the drink too. Yeah, there's so many different things you could try to do with it. Totally.
Sounds good.
Any more questions?
No.
No? This has been great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
Stella was also gonna answer questions about the piña colada and the sangria. So if you have questions about those.
Okay, Isela, where are you selling your products other than online?
So where are you? ¿Dónde estás?
We are all in New York, I think. Oh, no. Julia is not in New York. It's in Georgia. But rest of us are in New York. Oh, no. Miriam is now in Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. So in some of the, I don't know where in Jersey she is, but it is in some of the New Jersey Whole Foods, not all of them. It depends. Some of them have it. In the New York area, it's mainly like small specialty gourmet stores. So I don't know if you guys have a store called
Sonoma, right?
Which one?
Williams Sonoma?
It's on Lexington and like 28th, I want to say. It used to be at in DeLuca, but apparently they closed all the stores down.
Yes, they did.
There's also a store called Chelsea Market Baskets.
Yep.
Yes.
In Chelsea Market.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a vegan restaurant called Ha 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 Mexico. Media, I don't know if you're familiar with it. I think you're vegan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know Ha 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 Mexico?
Never been, but I heard about it.
Yeah, that's in the Lower East Side. They have some products there that they sell too. Although I know restaurants are closed right now. But yeah, so in the New York area, it's more like, it's not really big chains. It's more sort of like specialty gourmet stores. Oh, Eli Zabar's in the Upper East Side has it. Eli Zabar's. Yeah, places like that.
Cool.
And then obviously online too, so.
I just share in the chat the website because I just found it. So I'm sharing it with you now. This is the website address.
Oh, yes. HernanLLC.com.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and if you guys if you're ever interested in, you know, learning how to, you know, maybe prepare mole or some other Mexican dishes, I'm happy to share whatever knowledge I have there too.
I love her mole.
It's delicious.
The one with the pumpkin.
Oh, it's delicious.
Thank you.
That one is my favorite one.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope that, you know, when I get back up to New York, I'm able to come over to one of the meetings again, and I'll make sure to bring some with me and share some with you ladies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody has any more questions? Any
Yeah,
tips?
if you have any questions about the sangria or pina colada, I'm happy to answer any.
Well, I don't think you actually said anything about the sangria, or did I just space out?
Well, we sent the recipes for the pina colada, and we sent the ingredients for the pina colada, and we sent the ingredients for the sangria as well. We didn't do the sangria because the sangria really needs like a day to settle.
Yeah, yeah.
So we didn't start with that. That's how come we did the pina colada.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we started with the margarita and the chocolate martini.
So in the sangria, what you're getting to settle is the fruit soaking up the liquor. Is that it?
Both. You want, exactly. You want both the fruit to get soaked in the liquor, and then you also want the liquid combination to incorporate the fruit flavors as well. Yeah, you want both. And so the thing that I recommend with the sangria is that try to use, you know, seasonal fruits and fruits that are local to your area. So something that I do now that I'm here in Texas that I didn't used to use as much when I was in New York is I incorporate peaches a lot, especially in the summertime in Texas, because peaches right up here, right up the road from where I am, is a town called Fredericksburg. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's not really that well known outside of Texas, but it's kind of like the Napa Valley of Texas over here in this area. And there's a lot of wineries there. And believe it or not, they actually make some pretty decent wines down here. And they also grow a lot of peaches. And so right now we're about to go into the heavy peach season. And so I do that. When I make sangrias in the summertime, I'll usually use some peaches from around here. I know in New York, there's a lot of really great apples. So incorporate that into your sangria. You also, the thing to keep in mind with sangria too is that you can make it, you know, for the most part, sangrias that you see are made with red wine, but you can also use white wine, and you can use rosé wine too. So don't forget that when you're making it. Like, don't feel like you're tied to just using the red wine because that's what you usually see. Like, you can change it up, you know, use a white wine. And if you have a wine that, let's say you opened it and you had a glass and then you put it back in the refrigerator and you forgot about it. You're like, oh, now what do I do with this thing, right? Well, obviously try to use it for cooking because that's, you know, it's probably the easiest thing to do, but also use it for sangria. You know, the wine with sangria does not have to be a great quality wine. You know, kind of like what we were talking about on the tequila, when you're making your margarita. Same thing with the wine. You don't try not to spend that much money on the wine that you use when because you're going to mix it up with fruit. You're going to mix it up with brandy. You might mix it up with some simple syrup if you want it sweeter. You might mix it up with orange juice. So on the wine, I try not to spend more than like $10 on a bottle of wine that I'm going to use to make sangria. And so if you have some leftover wine that you don't want to drink just by itself, use it to make sangria.
Yep, that's good. Sounds good.
How many days in advance
At least overnight, I would say.
for sangria?
Yeah, if you're gonna if you're gonna have a party that day, like on a Saturday, try to make it Friday night, ideally. But you know, sometimes you don't have time, you're running late from work or whatever. If you can make it in the morning, that's fine. At least I would say 2 to 3 hours at least you want to give the fruit to mix in.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a local restaurant that we go to here, and Edgar always gets the white sangria, which has berries in it. So they have blueberries and raspberries and blackberries with a white sangria. So, and it's really light and refreshing. And that's, you know, he likes that a lot. So that's something that, that's something also to keep in mind. You can make one with berries.
Yeah, berries. Yeah,
You know,
I mean, sangria, it's un ponche. It's a punch, you know.
yeah.
So you add whatever you want to it. Local stuff obviously is preferable. I've also seen it where people add cinnamon sticks to it. Yeah, I know, it sounds weird, right? Anise, I've seen where they throw anise in there too. I don't, I mean, I'll drink it, don't get me wrong. I'll pretty much drink anything that's offered to me. But when I make my own, I don't add that. But, you know, I have seen that, and it's interesting, you know, it's just, it's kind of what's a different twist on a sangria. So feel free to experiment, which is what I say, you know, even with our products too, like just because they come with a recipe. I mean, it's a base to follow, but, you know, experiment with it and see what comes of it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Isela,
Well,
do
ladies,
you have a website?
say bye.
Yeah, I gotta go too.
Isela,
Nice
do you have
seeing
a
you
website?
all.
A website.
Take care.
Thank
Love you guys.
ladies.
Miriam.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
seeing you.
Bye, ladies.
Thank you for
Have
having
a
me.
good weekend.
Thank you.
For those
Bye.
still here, Isela's email, well, her website is Hernan, HERNANLLC.com. It's in our chat. The link,
Okay.
yeah, put it in our chat. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Looking now. I can
So
write
you
that down.
can, yeah.
HernanLLC.com.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm gonna write
So
that
she has
down.
the hot chocolate. She has the mole. She has those beautiful little baskets. I remember those. I still have my basket, I want you to know.
You do? Aww.
Oh, and then I have, hang on a second. I found it and I thought of you.
What do you put inside of it? Ya se me fue.
She went to go and get it. So, but she's been talking about your chocolate thingy all day, to me anyway, since 2 o'clock in the
Oh,
afternoon.
there it is.
And
There
she's
it
like,
is.
oh, and you can put it on chocolate, you can put it on ice cream, you can put it on.
Yeah.
Here's my little basket. You see it? I even kept the
Oh,
tag. And look,
El molinillo, shit.
yes,
I have
Oh.
this, and this is for mixing the chocolate. You put it, you're heating up the milk, and you
Yeah.
put in the chocolate, and then you shake it.
Yes.
I have mine.
I have,
Wow. I love it. Thank you. That's so
So you put the chocolate inside of that?
no, you put
Oh, you
this
put
in the
that in the
milk
pot.
to shake the milk.
That's like your whisk.
Yeah,
Oh,
Show
okay.
me again. Show me
and
again.
you do it, hang on a second. Let me take
Oh,
off
there
my
you go.
background, and you can see it.
Oh,
Mira,
look at them.
florero de molinillos.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Look
You
at
saw
that.
butter cake?
Yeah, see? And then what you do is you use this to mix the milk and the chocolate. Because,
Oh,
you know, because sometimes when you whisk it,
Yeah.
it's too hard.
right,
But
right.
this is just right.
Oh, that's so pretty.
It has little rings, and the rings move, and
Right.
that's what moves the milk.
Oh, and the chocolate crunches the chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah, but did I give you one of these?
Oh, that's pretty. What's that for?
To melt
Sangria?
your chocolate?
Yeah.
Mas chocolate?
It's an olla de barro.
That's nice.
That's a pitcher.
And we call it the olla de barro. You can use it for, you know, whatever you would use a regular pot for, but we market it as an olla for our chocolate. And so the idea is that you put the
You melt
chocolate
your chocolate in it.
inside with your milk, and then you use this bottom part as a pestle to help dissolve it, right? When it's over the medium flame. And then once it's melted, you go like this, like Maria was just showing you, and that froths it up. And
Oh,
so
nice.
the idea is that when you serve the drink, it has froth on top, because the ancient indigenous Mexican people used to believe that the spirit of the drink was in the froth. And why did they think that? Does anybody know why they would think that? No, because in the froth is where you can smell all the ingredients that are in the drink. So they were doing like the wine tasting thing before the wine tasting thing. You know, they were taking beverages, smelling them, and appreciating the ingredients in the drink from way back then, you know? And so they used to even have contests. They would have contests to froth, like who could make the biggest froth. I've been to a museum in the southern part of Mexico where they show you there's different versions of the molinillo. See, here's another different, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but this is a different version. And they, yeah, and so, you know, what happens is when you whisk something, the bubbles, basically what you're doing is you're aerating a liquid. You're adding air, and right, the air is what gives you smells. So, so yeah, so in Mexico, it's very traditional to serve hot chocolate drinks with froth on top. And so that's why we do this whole thing, the molinillo and the olla and everything.
Yeah. And the cacao was very, not only sacred, but it was also a form of payment. Because I remember when I went exploring in Mexico, they had it to where if the guy was proposing, he had to give so many leaves for payment for the bride. And if he didn't, then he would have to work for the father for so many years. You know, the father decided his daughter was worth 4 years of labor. And the guy would have to work for the father for those 4 years to be able to get married. But I was gonna ask you, because one of the things that I like to do, because I'm allergic to a lot of ingredients, and with the soy, I have to make my own. And so I started experimenting with chocolate, because I've hated chocolate for years, and come to find out it's the soy that makes it taste funny for me. So I started making my own, and I started doing like little Reese's peanut butter cups with almond butter, you know, and doing that. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to try to make some chocolates, but with liquor. And so is there a trick on getting the chocolate to hold on to the liquor and the different liquor flavors?
So there probably is, and I don't know that trick. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna I feel like in my head I can give you an answer what I think that trick would be, but I don't know for sure. It's not some, our chocolates that we make are very they're very simple chocolate. I mean, we take the cacao, we stone ground it, you know, use stone. So before we used to use it's called, when you look at it, it's called chocolate de metate. A metate is that square mortar pestle thing. Sometimes indigenas are grounding corn. Well, that's also what they used to use to ground the cacao. Now, we don't use that anymore because that would take us forever to make the chocolate, but we use these big stone, I guess for lack of a better word, machine. It's a machine, but it's made out of stone.
Grinder,
it grounds the chocolate. So it's just ground cocoa with ground sugar and cinnamon, and then it gets combined together. So I don't know, you know, adding something more above and beyond that, unfortunately, I can't really give you an intelligent answer. I'm sorry.
Pam, I see you drinking. Any more questions before we say goodnight?
I'm all finished. I'm ready to make more.
All right.
I know. I'm like drinking my margarita. I'm back to my margarita. I'm back to where I started.
Very nice. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Isela, for spending the night with us and teaching us all these tricks. Yes. And everyone, please have a wonderful weekend and salud.
Salud.
See you.
Salud, everybody.
Salud.
Bye. Have a good
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Have a great weekend.